Hey there, this is Jason. I am starting my YouTube channel. This is kind of the introduction. So welcome to New Earth Health and Wellness. This is going to be a pretty interesting channel. I hope all goes well. I'm going to just talk about a lot of things pertaining to life. When we talk about health and wellness, that's important. It was important to me. A few years ago, I started, thinking that I needed to get healthy, and I just didn't know how to start, and, as with any project, starting it is the hardest and often the most important. So I'm just hoping that this channel will help people like myself a few years ago that didn't know where to start, didn't know where to begin with their health and wellness journey. It's just so important. I just remember waking up one day and just feeling awful and just knew I needed a change. So didn't quite know at the time. It took me a while to figure out, even how to start exercising, like what exercises should I be doing? How often should I be doing them? I didn't have a gym membership. So, I kind of used that as an excuse for a while, not to do it. But, I started right at home, a couple of dumbbells and a bench. And then started slowly adding pieces to that. Started looking at what I was eating. Um, I know people use the word diet a lot, and it's just such a negative term nowadays. But in its true sense, a diet is just what we consume. If we look at it as a diet as we're taking something away, then of course we're not going to feel good about it. But my diet is, I eat a lot, just eat different things. So, but I know at first when I was first trying to lose a lot of weight, because I needed to, it was hard. It was difficult, because there's so much information out there, like, what's good, what's bad. So it's hard to tell. So, we'll have a lot of videos on food. One of my favorite topics is food. Meal prep. We'll talk about, how to shop. I was used to getting into the grocery store and just loading up with chips and Hot Pockets and you name it. The baked goods was awful. Now I stay away from those aisles like my life depends on it. And it's helped, So I had to change the way I shopped, the way I cooked. I've always done pretty much most of the cooking at the house. So, I think people kind of were shocked around here for a while, when we stopped eating the bacon and, stuff like that and replaced that with some healthier choices like, eggs, leaner meats, things like that. But we'll walk through, what has helped me. Maybe there's some things that you're struggling with right now, um, you know, consumption wise. It's a big part, if you're going to work hard in the gym or at home trying to get healthy, if you compare, what you eat with how you work, some good things can happen. For me personally, I was able to lose a lot of weight, change my body composition. I've been able to get off all medication, for blood pressure, cholesterol, and inflammation was a big one for me. I have Crohn's disease. I've had it for my entire adult life, but I feel like I've cured myself from that. Um, and I've done it through making better choices with what I put in my body. Um, Different ways of managing stress have helped. I guess the career path change has helped as well. I'm not saying I don't ever, have issues with that, but they're far and few between. So if I can do it, and people that know me know, that I was pretty much a disaster when it came to what I ate. I think anybody can. It's just knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And getting started is the hardest part. And I think for me, once I got started and started really doing some good work, the decisions became easier for me. So whether, so when it came down to, soda, for instance, I started looking at soda as, is this really going to help me with my current goals or is it not? And so eventually I started to identify things, behaviors I was, um, behaviors that I was undertaking that, weren't helping me with my goal, and it was easier to eliminate them. I think, going into it, I think we kind of get lost in that, it's all or nothing, and hopefully with this channel, I'll be able to help, ease that transition a little bit. So, it's not about getting it all right now. It's more about, little changes, little things you can do here and there, that add up to one big thing. So, for me, I was about 27% body fat a year and a half ago. We'll eventually get some pictures up, and I've been able to really, really cut into that and get my health, my body fat to a manageable, depending on which reading, it can be 14%, 15%. It depends on which machine I'm using at the time. But I try not to get caught too much up in the numbers of it. Really what I'm looking at is, just how I look, how I feel about myself, my own confidence level. To me, that is a sign of good health. When we talk about being fit, what is being fit? Well, to me, being fit, when I first started was to be able to do a push-up, right? Literally couldn't do one. Walking my trash can down to the end of the driveway felt like a marathon. So it started with that, just being able to, the daily activities, the daily grind, I was at a point at that time where I just couldn't do it. I was just that not fit. So, I know the difference now when I'm walking my dogs around the neighborhood. I'm not struggling getting up a hill. I feel like I could outwalk them, which is probably not likely because they're Labradors, but you know what I mean. So, and I'm 46 years old, so that's saying something. Actually, I've never felt better in my entire life than I do at 46. So, I want to help others. It is possible to do. And so that's what this channel is going to be all about. The health side of it. The activity, right? How do you write a program? Yeah, that's something that I do on a daily basis for people. Put it all together. For me, that was one of the harder parts. Besides the food part, was how do I put this plan together? When do I do what exercise? How much weight? How does it all look? And it took me months. So maybe with this channel, if you're in a similar situation and you're starting a new program, maybe we cut that time down a little bit for you. Just with some basic things. So we'll get to that on some of our next videos. On the wellness side, it is New Earth Health and Wellness, right? The wellness piece for me is equally important. When I think about wellness, I think about what's going on between the ears, wellness. And as somebody that has survived heroin, survived addiction, barely. I know what it's like to have to reprogram the way we think, the way we operate. So, going to talk a lot about not necessarily about addiction, because we all know addiction sucks and it can happen to anybody. I had a great career, did a lot of good things, and just ran across go into a normal doctor visit and come out an addict. And I'm not going to blame it all on the doctor, because I always loved a good party, but that's how easily it can happen to people. And I think in our current society and culture, we tend to really shame the addict a lot, and so I don't know if it's intentional, but I would hope not. But even for me, nobody had any idea of what I was going through. until one day I just, basically just about died. And at that point, they realized that I had an addiction. Even my boss, even my closest coworkers, had no idea. Um, I had needed help for a while because I didn't understand. I didn't know how to get off the medication. It had progressed to a point where, um, I was out of control. But I felt like at that time I was afraid to ask for help, right? Because it was a sign of weakness. And that was almost detrimental. That almost ended my life. The inability or the unwillingness to ask for help. And looking back, I can say that um, I feel like the stigma attached to addiction and the people that suffer from addiction causes others, maybe people active addicts, to not seek help. Because it's not just the guys on the street, and it's not, these are businessmen and women that are suffering with addiction. And, you know, the stats don't lie. I think the last time um, I studied that it was like 1 out of 11 people who need help will get it. That's not a really good ratio. So either we don't have access to help, or um, coming forward is dangerous, or there's some fear associated with that. So we'll talk a lot about that. But more importantly, what do you do after addiction? Like, so you go to a treatment center and you get clean or whatever, or however you do it. Well, then what? What happens when the 30 days are up, or however long it takes you to, sober up? For me, it was, well, so I was clean in 30 days, but it took me months, if not years, to really figure out what the heck had happened. So that rewiring, that reprogramming, learning how to love yourself all over again, is important in that process. I think once we start to value our bodies and our lives, we definitely make better decisions. So it's a little snapshot, and a little snapshot into some of the topics that we'll be covering. And I'm looking forward to creating more videos. The introductory video is, I read that you should do it, so I'm doing it. Just to kind of, you get to know me or know of me or see me, whatever. But I'm looking forward to get into like the nuts and bolts of it, and dive into topics about behavior change, about how to lose weight, about why am I gaining weight when I work out? That's a common question I get all the time. I'm working out while I'm gaining weight. I've got some answers to those questions, and hopefully a lot more. And I'm really going to stick to things I know, stick to things that I've experienced through personal experience, or things that I've experienced in the process of helping others. So, again, I work with people every day that are overcoming some kind of struggle. We're all recovering from something, and that's why I'm here with the New Earth, health and wellness. The New Earth to me, the meaning behind that. We are evolving. We are constantly evolving as a people. And especially as we get older, as I got into my mid 40s, I finally started to grow up a little bit, I guess. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But, things tend to evolve, even with exercise programs, they, they're not going to be that way forever. So like you start somewhere and then you evolve, and then boom, then you add in things, and then it builds, and you build momentum. And I think that's what's happening, in life in general on this planet. Things are changing all around us, every day. And I think it's important to be aware of that, and maybe try to look at it from different perspectives. And if nothing else, I do have a slightly different perspective on things. That's what everybody tells me anyway. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys around the channels. I don't know if that's proper lingo, but make sure you check us out. Check me out, New Earth Health and Wellness, with Jason Jones. And there'll be more videos on the way. Peace.